What do you think the secret is to a successful marriage?
You and I have talked about this. Lots of sex is really important in a relationship.
Good
sex.
Hey, I'm Mark Sisson, co-founder of Primal Kitchen and host of the Primal Kitchen Podcast. In this special 50th episode of the Primal Kitchen Podcast, Morgan and I sit down for a candid chat with my wife and fellow entrepreneur, Carrie Sisson. Get the lowdown on my own and Carrie's routines, from the anti-aging technologies we embrace or avoid, to the daily supplements we take, to skincare, and our current eating habits. We also share how we met, our secrets for a successful marriage, and our favorite vacation destinations. Before we get started, a brief reminder that any and all opinions and views shared by hosts and guests on this podcast are the speaker's own and do not represent the view of Primal Kitchen or its affiliates or parent company.
Awesome. Do I get a kiss before we start?
Yeah, kiss her.
All right, awesome. Welcome to the podcast, Carrie and Mark. So excited to have you. For those listening that don't know, Carrie is Mark's beautiful wife. We've been talking about doing this forever, and Carrie was just on the Skinny Confidential podcast with Mark. So for those listening, if you want like a really behind-the-scenes great interview, you got to listen in, Skinny Confidential. Check out Mark and Carrie's episode. All right, let's start back at the beginning. How'd you guys meet?
Well, we met sort of unofficially at the Sports Club LA in 1987. I joined to meet girls, and it was the Sports Club LA was the quintessential country club / gym in the world at the time. It was a 100,000 square foot gym. No one had ever done anything like that before. And I lived in Brentwood, so it was right down the street from me. So that's where I'm going to meet some hot girls.
And what are you doing?
And I joined to meet my husband.
Yeah.
And what were you doing at the time?
At the time, I was sort of a little bit of acting, a little bit of house painting, and a little bit of coaching.
And is this like post frozen yogurt shop in San Francisco?
Yeah,
okay.
That was, yeah.
Okay.
I had my Northern California years where I had a large painting company, and I had a frozen yogurt shop and a restaurant at that time. And then that sort of the economics of 1983-84 were so horrible that we sort of lost. My partner and I decided to split up, and I went to L.A. from Northern California to find my fortune. And part of it was to meet what I hoped would be a future wife. I didn't know, and so that's how I wound up in Los Angeles in 86 and 87.
Okay, so you guys meet at the sports club, but like, tell me more.
Well, so we met. We didn't even meet at the sports club, right? We saw each other at the sports club. So I had eyes on her. Apparently, she had eyes on me. I was also consulting with a clothing company at the time. It was sort of a part-time gig, but I was a business consultant to a clothing startup that was in active sportswear. And then I'll let Carrie take the story from here.
From the sportswear show? Or?
Yeah. You were working with Lynn in your company.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
So wait, were you just working out at the gym, or what were you doing?
Oh, I was just working out at the gym, but I was into sort of Louise Hay, Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, and it's like create your reality or manifest your future or manifest the life you've always dreamed of. So at that point, I thought, okay, I'm going to join a gym because my intention here is to meet a husband. I was in my early 30s. I really wanted to have kids, and I thought, I should probably start moving in that direction. Yeah. So my daughter and I had started a workout wear.
Your sister and you.
I mean, I always confuse Lynn and Devin, Lynn. Yeah, my sister and I had a workout line where we were making workout clothes, which is why we actually ended up talking. I'll get there in a minute. But
what kind of workout clothes? Like leggings?
Oh, yeah, leggings and work.
I mean, but this is the 80s. Was this like
a built-in bra?
Oh,
before
you guys were trendsetters.
Lulu or Aloe or anybody else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, and they were leotards.
Yeah, I mean, it's all coming back.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you guys should fire this back up. I feel like the time is now.
God, another thing. There's so much to talk about. No, because Mark's doing this new company, which we'll be talking about, and I'm doing the workout wear. So I'm doing tracksuits, sort of Juicy meets Adidas. Like I'm going to do my own version of that, and I'm really excited about that. So I'm going to be doing that.
Okay, great.
But anyway, he came up to me and my sister at this retail?
Yeah, so we were at a trade show in Long Beach, and I was setting up the booth for the company that I was consulting with. You know how trade shows go, and so I was there setting up a booth, and the two girls that I recognized from the gym walked by, and I'm like, "This is my opportunity." So I said, "Hey, I know you guys from the gym, don't I?" And that's where we introduced each other. And I think that little encounter ended with, "We should probably work out together." And so that was the line.
Got it.
Yeah.
So then your first date, was it working out together?
Yeah, we just went to the gym.
Okay.
And we're working out. We were both dating other people at the time.
Okay.
So we just worked out together, became friendly, go grab a bite after.
So you friend zoned him at the beginning?
Definitely.
Okay.
No, he was doing a lot of cardio back then. So he was a little bit leaner than I wanted.
Okay.
He's since started lifting weights, and he's
I was too
more
skinny.
my type.
I was a poster child for men with no asses.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? And I mean, that's, I didn't do legs. I just did, running and cycling.
Yeah.
That was my thing as an ex-triathlete. So she wasn't, she wasn't like coming at me like, oh, this guy's got the physique. I guess I just had the personality.
Yeah. So then how long did it take before you're like, oh, maybe I should move him out of the friend zone?
We'd grab a bite. Did we talk about this in the last podcast? We grab a bite every time, and not every time, but after we work out occasionally. And one night we were grabbing a bite and we were having a glass of wine with something to eat. And I said, "Oh, what should we toast to?" And he goes, "It's my birthday." I go, "It's your birthday? You didn't even tell me it's your birthday." Thinking I'm out with him on his birthday, whatever. So I leaned over and just gave him a kiss. And I was like, "Oh my God." So then we both got rid of our partners.
Oh, so you were still seeing other people at this time. So you're seeing someone and you're at dinner with Carrie on your birthday.
Well, my excuse was it was that girlfriend was living in Northern California, so she wasn't around, and it was sort of a very long distance relationship at the time, and it was on its way out anyway.
Okay. Then how long before you got married and had kids?
2 years.
Not quite. Yeah.
It was fast.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Okay, so that was your birthday.
Yeah.
That's July. We
July.
got married in May.
Yeah, we got married in May.
2 years later.
Okay.
Okay. And then when did Devin come?
Got pregnant on our honeymoon.
You did? I didn't know that. Man, you guys don't mess around. This was like really, you were on a mission.
You don't mess around.
I don't either, but it took me 5 years to get married though. Like Adam and I dated for a while. Yeah.
I do remember
Yeah.
that.
And then
That's right.
it took us 3 years to have 3 babies, but yeah.
I pushed it though because I was 33, 34, and I thought, I want to have kids by the time I'm 35.
Yeah.
Oh, you were too?
I pushed it too. I was like, if you don't propose by I think we had some work event. I was like, if you don't propose by the time my mom comes out, like I'm out of here. And then I
remember that.
The day before was also when we had the big mayonnaise fiasco and we couldn't make mayonnaise the year after we launched the company. And the day before I gave him the deadline, he proposed that weekend. And he's like, but don't you think every guy does this? I'm like, no, I think some guys actually propose before someone puts, before there's an ultimatum.
No, my son's doing that now.
Yeah.
I think he's dragging his feet.
This is like the dragging in the feet thing is normal.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I said, if we're not married in the next year, I'm moving on because I really want to have a family and I'm not getting any younger. And so I think he was waiting till the last day of that year that he had.
Yeah, this is exactly.
Wait a minute, my year's not up.
Yeah, and Adam had bought the ring and I found the box. I swear this is very unlike me, but I actually didn't open it. So I knew he had bought a ring in December and he didn't propose until March. So it's he was walking around with the ring, taking it to work and back, brought it to Chicago and back, and just couldn't find the right time until he finally pulled the trigger. But that is a lot of procrastination. Yeah. I feel like this is normal though for men.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how long have you guys been married now?
33 years as of a few weeks ago. Yeah.
That's great. Congrats.
Yeah. Together 35.
Yeah.
Or to hear her tell it, 34 3/4.
Yeah. Don't you think it's kind of BS when we count, for me, because we dated for 5 years, when we count years married and not years together? I feel well, what about the 5 years?
No,
we
sure.
put in a lot of work
should
before.
just be years together.
No, I think so too. I think that's
Absolutely.
BS, but whatever. These U.S. traditions. Okay. So what's the secret to, I'm going to ask Carrie first because I know Mark's answer. Your answer might be the same, but what's the secret to a successful marriage?
Me.
I love it.
You know what? I got a degree in spiritual psychology. I've always done a lot of work on trying to have a happy marriage.
Yeah.
And I see I see my daughter reading the books now, and I see the things she's doing, and I love it. She's like, we were here a year ago and now we're here, and I read this and I read this, and I just love it. And I really think that I'm constantly striving to have the best relationship that I can possibly have. And I can honestly say we've never been happier.
Yeah.
I would say not even the first month or the first year.
Yeah.
I know about you.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah.
But both of you, because I know you're really into the psychology and working on yourself and relationships and just all of that importance. I know that's your thing, for sure. But you are too. I mean, I always say when people are like, oh, what's it like working with Mark? And I'm like, Mark is the most emotionally intelligent older white man in existence. Don't you think, Carrie? You're pretty, you're not easily affected by anything, really. You're pretty unflappable, but then you're also just very accepting of other people's emotions and stuff. Did you guys couples therapy, personal therapy? What's the take there?
Not a lot of therapy.
Yeah, I think the therapy that we've done didn't do much for us, and sort of, I don't know whether we had the wrong people, but for the longest time, it just didn't mesh, and it was not productive at all for whatever we were going through. Then we found some people. Carrie wound up doing some courses with them up in the Pacific Northwest, who we really resonate with in terms of how they think, and they're not really the traditional therapists. It's really sort of asking the right kind of questions to go inward for yourself, and then they use a lot of either their own personal anecdotes or stories about other people they've worked with that wound up getting things resolved, and you hear these stories, you listen to these anecdotes, and then you have your own little aha moments that come to you instead of somebody telling you, I think we should do this, or I think we should try that.
Yeah. Some more self-direction.
They concentrate on explaining to you how, which we all know, we're creating our life from moment to moment with our thinking. So everything we're experiencing right now, every feeling we're experiencing is either your thinking or your subconscious thinking. A lot of people think it's the other way around. So I see where something he does annoys me, and I continue to go down that rabbit hole of, why did you do that? Did that mean he doesn't love me? Does that mean da 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 da? And I just cause my own suffering when I can go, wow, who knows? Maybe he had a bad day, or maybe I'm taking it personally. It wasn't meant that way, or I can just see how my thinking in the moment is causing my suffering or not.
Yeah.
So I think we both got that understanding from this couple that we worked with up there. So, I mean, not to say it's been all, wine and roses. It's definitely been a roller coaster. But
the stock market, up and down, but an overall trend setting up. I feel like that.
Yeah.
It's not a linear line. There's definitely peaks and valleys.
No.
Yeah. What's the name of the couple you guys are referencing up? And people who are listening might want to look into this.
Well, they wrote a really great book, The Relationship Handbook, if you're looking to improve your relationship. But George and Linda Pransky are the name of the couple. But it's called the actual type of therapy or type of understanding. I guess they call it understanding. It's called the 3 principles. So you could actually Google the 3 principles. But the Relationship Handbook is amazing.
Cool.
Good book.
Do either of you have personality stereotypes? If you were to describe Mark's personality, what would you say?
His personality. It's so interesting because I really think he's kind of quiet and an introvert, but I think most people, because his public persona is so outgoing and gregarious and fun and funny and lively, but at home he's a lot quieter.
Yeah. I think that's common to people who are on film or on camera.
Are you quiet at home?
No, but I'm not on camera really.
Oh, okay.
I'm not really the face of anything. Right. I'm never quiet. Yeah. What about Carrie? How would you describe Carrie's personality?
Outgoing, bubbly, life of the party, thoughtful, considerate, energetic. I would say.
Oh, I like you.
Yeah.
Today she likes me.
I love it.
One day at a time.
Wait, but you didn't tell me because I asked Carrie, so we got her answer. But what do you think the secret is?
Well, I mean, you and I have talked about this, offline over the years. I think lots of sex is really important in a relationship.
agree.
Good sex.
Yeah, lots of good sex. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
You know, I think like sex is wasted on the youth. Like I feel like sex is getting better as I get older.
Oh, it's never been this good. And we're approaching 70.
Yeah. And I think that's great. I think we have a problem in our society where like the older you get, the like grosser it is to have sex. And like sex should never be considered gross.
I mean,
or like
with this body, how could it be?
I know, but I mean,
how could that be?
I know, but I
so
just
lucky.
think that's an interesting dynamic. Do you think are like most of your friends still having sex?
You know what? It's surprising how many people aren't having sex.
Yeah.
But I'd say most of my friend group, my close friends, are having sex.
Yeah.
But it's this. Oh my God, it's scary how many people aren't or don't care.
I saw this psychologist. She was saying if you like haven't had sex with your partner in a year, you're likely to never again. Like it will either end or you will just continue on. But and there's like a big trend going on now with like young men where they're like not having sex. Everything's like all the interactions are taking place digitally. They're not like out meeting women. I think this is like a big problem. Like you've often said, there's only like a few primal pleasures left in life, like food, sex.
Right.
I mean, what else do we really have that has been with us for, you know,
I don't think we'd be together.
No, we wouldn't.
If we didn't have such a great
I know Adam and I are like, we wouldn't even like each other because like we can tell like after, you know, we have 3 kids under 5. So sometimes like, you know, 5 or 7 days will go by and then we're like starting to fight. And it's like, I'm like, oh, hello. Like, you know, you just got to pay attention to that part. But
we'll go a couple days and I'll notice he's grouchy.
Yeah.
So I look at him and I go, okay, we definitely need to have sex tonight.
I know. And I interviewed this Dr. Amy Killen and she was saying that there's all these like health benefits of having orgasms. And I was like,
he should orgasm 21 days.
No, 100 times a year.
Or something.
I'm like, we should not.
21 days a month.
Oh, that's
what you send me.
That's a lot.
21 times a month. Yeah.
That's
going to be doing some of that yourself.
Yeah, that's for sure.
21
That's like
days.
another job. Come on, Mark. Every man listening is like, I'm going to tell my wife. Mark Sisson said 21 days a month for optimal health. I think it is like an underutilized health hack, though. I think, I mean, what happens to your testosterone if you're not having sex?
It goes down for
does.
sure. Yeah.
So this is like a natural way of boosting testosterone.
One of many, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I actually do a pellet for my hormones. I put in a
tell me
pellet
about this.
every 3 months.
This was my anti-aging thing. So I want like the whole anti-aging routine.
Okay.
Are you 72 almost?
No, 68 at 7.
Okay.
I'm going to be 68.
And you'll be 70 in July.
Yeah.
Okay. So give me the anti-aging
I do
routine.
a pellet, which the pellet itself consists of the estrogen and the testosterone, and then the progesterone. I just take a pill nightly. But since I started doing the pellet versus the creams, because I started with the creams when I was going through menopause, it's like sex is like on steroids.
Yeah, my mom has the pellet.
Because it is.
Your mom has the pellet?
Yeah.
Does she like it?
Yeah, she's had it for a while. Same thing. I think she started with the creams during menopause and then has switched into it must be like a newer version of the technology or
I think it is. I mean,
okay, so what else are you doing that's more than that?
Well, I do some peptides.
Okay, you got to talk to me about the peptides. Is there like one doctor you're working with that's giving you?
I'm working with somebody in Miami.
Okay.
And
seems like a good place to be working with an anti-aging doctor.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Okay.
I do NAD.
Okay.
And I do glutathione, and then I do a few peptides and CJ7, blah 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 blah, bunch of numbers, and I can get them for you, but I don't know. I don't have them memorized offhand. But I inject myself, or I make him do it a lot, 5 days a week, and then 2 days off, and I've been doing it now for a year.
Crazy. And what do you notice besides the sex drive?
I feel like I have. I don't know if that's so much the sex drive. I'd say the pellet.
Okay.
Is when I notice the difference in the sex drive. I think I have more energy. I feel healthier. I feel like I get sick less often. I don't get sick very often anyway, but I got COVID and it was like, I think I have allergies. No.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Maybe I should take a test. I don't want to get my
Well, and you're
parents.
around like your grandkids, I'm sure. I mean, I don't know if they're like, and if you're not getting sick and you're around toddlers, then
exactly.
you're doing good.
Yeah. I'd say my energy level, getting sick less often.
The peptides are new though. Like what's with the peptides, Mark? Are you doing peptides?
No, I mean, I did them for a while and I wasn't noticing anything in particular. So I just, I've been doing testosterone, injection once a week for almost 10 years now, but
And Mark and I have an entire podcast just on the testosterone injection. So
Yeah.
if people want to really like dive into Mark's thoughts on all that, there's another entire podcast dedicated to that you guys can find.
Yeah. But I'm not opposed to them. It's just there's certain things that if I don't notice, an immediate or relatively immediate benefit, I'm like, then I'm not compelled to do it on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So I tried some growth hormone secretagogue, Simorelin, which is a peptide, for 6 months. It didn't do much for me. I'm like, and my reason for doing that was, one of the things we talk about anti-aging strategies. One of the things that the testosterone is for, keeping a little bit of extra muscle on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you get older and you get strong, then the connective tissue becomes the weak link. So the ligaments, the tendons, the fascia, cartilage, those all become the weak links, and you don't want to injure those while you're building the muscle. So the idea is that while testosterone builds muscle, it doesn't do anything with this connective tissue. So the connective tissue is more of a growth hormone thing. I didn't want to be taking growth hormone, so I took the secretagogues. But again, didn't notice that much. So we'll see what's next.
Yeah. Is there like any supplements you guys are swearing by these days?
I mean, I just take vitamin D because I'm out in the sun a lot, and I don't convert vitamin D that well. That's one of the things I learned from my 23andMe experience. They give you this stuff back. And then I take collagen. I'm a real strong believer in collagen. It's beyond a supplement. It should be its own food group, right?
Yeah.
We talked about this. It should be fats, proteins, carbohydrates, and collagen should be the fourth food group.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
What about you, Carrie? Any supplements?
Vitamin D, collagen, and I've had some skin cancer on my legs and have probably had a dozen Mohs surgeries. And,
oh, wow.
So I do take some things. Someone said A is good, then someone else says B is good, and then someone said the seaweed thing is good. Anyway, so I take a few things for that.
Okay.
But I'm not a big vitamin. If I feel like I'm getting sick, maybe I'll powder the echinacea and things like that, or oregano oil, or I don't know, whatever. But again, I said that's rare. And I used to take his vitamins a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I don't feel a difference.
We're still selling them, Carrie. I mean, you get you back on.
I have a lot of friends that swear by them. But I don't really like swallowing pills.
I don't either. This is my thing. Like, I've switched entirely to gummy vitamins if I'm like getting sick or something.
I take gummy melatonins at night.
Yeah.
And much preferred.
I can't. Yeah. Master formula is like 12 pills a day or something.
Yeah.
It's just like terrible. I know. I can't do it. Brian probably takes it. Anyway, okay. Skincare. What are you doing for skincare? You look fabulous.
Oh my God. I am so excited. Well, I'll tell you what I'm doing next week. We're flying down to Costa Rica.
Okay.
And I'm going to have umbilical cord stem cells, 100 injections all over my face.
Stop it.
Yeah. But I've been doing lasers with exosomes.
Okay.
I had a facelift a couple of years ago.
Okay.
That helped.
Yeah.
That was my neck was bothering me.
Yeah. Did you do it in Miami?
I didn't. I actually flew to San Francisco.
Okay.
Someone recommended a doctor in San Francisco. But then, constant facials, good clean products, really good about sunscreen.
Do you have a favorite brand? Any favorite brands?
I'm using something lately that I really like, Autour.
Okay.
It's a European brand. But
what's exosome? Lasers with exosomes. This is what I need to
Well,
be doing.
you can do it with PRP, which I've also done, where they spin your blood.
Isn't that like the vampire facial?
Yes,
yeah, okay.
exactly. Inject all over your face. But then I'll do it with a laser that actually, it's almost like the laser pokes deep holes.
Okay.
And then you rub the exosomes all over your face. And it's, what exactly exosomes? A portion of the stem cell without the DNA.
It's a part of the stem cell routine that is supposedly one of the working components, but doesn't contain any DNA. It doesn't have its own DNA.
Got it.
So
You've had some skin cancers.
Yeah, I mean, it's
a little bit.
More than a little bit. I mean, I see a dermatologist once every 4 months, and dermatologists these days are very aggressive. Yeah, and they in the name of being conservative, they're quite aggressive. And so I'm always, they'll always burn something, or biopsy something, and I kind of go along with it. I think sometimes that, like one of the ones that we started going to in Florida, she was biopsying everything and sending Carrie in to go get Moe's, and I'm like, I'm not buying that it's that bad.
Yeah.
And so I found another one, and he's like, yeah, we'll just
Watch it.
We'll just burn it, and we won't even biopsy because I don't need to. And there's a 90% chance it wasn't going to turn into anything. And even if it did turn into something, it wasn't going to be like melanoma, right? There's squamous and basal are the two. But I think that's largely a result. I spent a great portion of my life outside in the sun. I was either as a contractor or a house painter. I was outside with my shirt off all summer long in New England, and then all year round when I lived in California. And then I'd go home and I'd run 15 miles with a shirt off.
Yeah,
it was just how I did it and how I ran in those days with no sunscreen, and that would not have been an issue if I'd had a primal or paleo diet, but I didn't. I was eating crappy food, right? So I was eating lots of carbs and lots of sugar and lots of industrial seed oils, not because I chose to, but because I didn't know any better. And it wasn't until I was much older that I realized, wow, I've been...
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a thing, though.
No, it wasn't a thing.
It was like a baby oil phase, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, when I was in college, you would, that was it. You go, I remember driving from northern western Massachusetts to Miami for spring break, straight haul, all the way down, 24-hour drive without stopping, and then falling asleep on the beach at 9 o'clock in the morning and getting a sunburn first day. That's the stuff that we did when we were, young and foolish and whatever. So I feel like I'm paying the price for that now, and I'm paying the price for just being outside. If you look at my contemporaries in triathlon, for instance, everybody looks ragged. The skin got beat up by the sun because you're out there for hours and hours, and even if you were wearing sunscreen, you'd sweat it off. It would, you wipe it off or whatever as you're wiping the sweat off.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of, paying the price for that now, but everything's under control, and we just it's like going to your dentist once in a while and getting your teeth cleaned. I go to my dermatologist and get my skin cleaned. It's basically how I look at it.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, back to this Costa Rica situation. So where did this come about? What's happening? Are you doing it too, Mark? Just Carrie? Like, give us the lowdown. This is interesting.
Well, I'm not doing the facial thing, but I'm, I've been interested in the stem cell concept for a long time, and I've had friends who've had great results, and friends who've had no results, and friends who've had bad results. And I sort of held off for a long time. But recently, in the context of what I just said about taking testosterone and thinking about the secretagogues within the peptide thing, all of this is contemplated so that I feel good, so I feel better, and I want to feel good every day. I work out a lot, and when I work out, I get sore, and I get whether it's delayed onset muscle soreness or stiffness in my joints, or if my connective tissue is starting to break down. I want to get a hold of that. Not because I want to look younger. I just want to feel good.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So this is sort of a anti-aging repair kind of concept that I had, and so I got some friends who are really into the stem cell thing. Have done a lot of research. I've met some of the top stem cell people in the world in the last couple of months or years at conferences that we've both spoken at, and I become more comfortable with the idea. Like, all right, let's try this, and so that's what we're going to do. It's not inexpensive. That's really the main drawback for most people. That's not an issue for us, but that's kind of the main thing holding a lot of people back from that.
But what are you actually doing? If you're not doing the face injections,
no
IV,
you're doing it like
just a straight IV, systemic IV.
Got it.
I know, like, for instance, Ben Greenfield's probably done that, a bunch of times. There's a lot of guys.
I think that there's that, like, Dr. Amy Killen is doing these, like, stem cell makeover, and like,
there are people doing it in the U.S. too.
Dave Asprey's done it.
Yeah, so you can. There's lots of different levels of this. You can harvest your own stem cells, which a lot of people do. They do a little transfusion from themselves, or they take blood out and spin it down, or they might even do something from the marrow. But in my case, I don't want my 70-year-old stem
Got
cells
it.
to be, it's like they're probably not that effective. I don't know. So, so what we'll be using is like umbilical cord.
I'm really regretting not banking the umbilical
Yeah.
cords for the boys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why didn't I do that?
Well, but by the time,
But you can't really use it. I've heard yeah.
But the first day we're going to, and which you reminded me, Dave Asprey, he was talking about on Instagram the other day. We have something called zombie cells, or cells that are just basically floating around that are dead.
Okay.
senescent cells.
So- So
Yeah.
okay. Anyway, so the first day they take a bunch of our blood out, and then they clean it and they put it back in to get rid of the zombie cells. And
Interesting.
I noticed Dave Asprey was selling a product or something that does that. Like he suggested taking a supplement or something. I'm not sure what it was.
We're not going to endorse that, though.
And I'm like,
No, we're not endorsing that.
I mean, why not just lay there for a minute, have somebody
or who knows if that
take
really
your blood
works.
out,
That
clean
sounds-
it, and put it back in.
Interesting.
Versus swallowing more pills.
Yeah, and then they're also doing like a facial.
Yeah, that's something that I decided to get.
It's an add-on.
Why I'm down there.
Yeah. I mean,
it's like,
yeah, sounds like a no-brainer
Right?
to me. Yeah. I love it. Okay, I'm totally shifting gears here, but this is like one of my favorite all-time stories ever. And Carrie, maybe you can tell it. When we were like building Primal Kitchen, and I met Mark and Carrie, like, I don't know, God, I met both of you guys. When I met you, I met Carrie at the same time. So they had this event, Primal Con, and they were both there, and I hung out, I think, more with you, Carrie, than I did with Mark. Yeah. And then
she's great.
yeah. And then Mark was like, can you give us a ride back to our hotel room? And I like end up driving you guys home from your event. And then you called like 4 months later, and here we are 9 years later. But back then, I don't know when it started, but there was a story about like a blank check next to the bedside table. So do you remember, you know this, right? Like, you can tell the story, whichever one of you can, but this is like one of my favorite stories.
Okay. I heard Jim Carrey doing a stand-up comedy or something. And he was talking about, he wrote himself a $20 million check. And, again, that manifesting, I want to manifest my husband. I want to manifest his life. He's into that. He was into it and he is into that. So he wrote himself the check, and he did some movie a few years later, and he was able to, he was paid $20 million for the movie. So I said, Mark, I want to write you a check. I'm like, what would you be? The numbers obnoxious? I say the numbers?
Yeah, you can say the numbers.
Okay. So I said,
because it started much lower.
Oh, no.
Yeah. No? I thought it changed over time.
Mark's someone that worries about money. And so I thought, God, what do you need? Well, I want to know what you need to not worry anymore. Like, what do you need so you don't think, oh God, if something goes wrong, we're going to be homeless, or, like just so you can just live and be happy and not worry about money. What's that number you need in the bank? And he said, 40 million. Now, maybe this is a while after Jim Carrey, whatever. And so I wrote him a check, and I put it in a nightstand in his little box on his nightstand.
And did he know you put it there or not really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, not at first. No,
you didn't?
No, not at first. I did not.
It was there.
Yeah, it was there.
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
a lot later that I discovered it.
And then in a year or so, or 2 years later, whatever, we still weren't there. And I said, and I don't think this number, I don't think you'd be comfortable with this number.
So then you made it
I'm
bigger.
getting the numbers wrong. But anyway, so I wrote it, I think, for 80 or something, or 60, whatever that was. And then still hadn't made it a year or so later. And I'm like, and I don't think you'd be comfortable with this number. What would you really? He's like, wait, I think I would really need 100 million. I was like, okay. So I wrote him a check, and almost a year to date, we sold the company for twice that.
Yeah, I know. I just think that story is hilarious. Mark's like, Carrie's gone in there and she's changed the check like 3 times.
Yeah.
Not even know it's sitting in the bedside table. But okay, just bringing it back here because this is a serious question.
And
for
then
you.
I told this at a yoga retreat I went to a yoga retreat in Costa Rica last week. I was there. And this girl, I told it at the dinner party, and at the end of the dinner party, we were all going to bed. She comes in my room with one of her checks, and she goes, will you write me a check?
I love it.
It'll work.
Yeah, that's great. But
Got to work your ass off.
Will you write me a magic check?
Yeah,
you got to work your.
Yeah. But do you think there's actually a number where the worry goes away?
No, it hasn't.
That doesn't. It almost gets worse.
No, it does. And you're experiencing that yourself.
I
It's one way
mean,
for me.
Yeah, but you would never worry to begin with, I don't think, Carrie. You didn't have the worry. This is a good balance. Yeah, Mark had the worry for both of you. But yeah, do you think it's gone away?
Oh, it's gone away enough, but it just takes a different shape. And now there's different obligations and there's different things that tug at you, and and I've shared this sort of with other people who've done well in their own careers, and it is a pretty similar thing. Like you just never stop like worrying about losing it, for instance.
Yeah.
Right? Now that you have it, and like when you don't have it, at least you don't have to worry about losing it. But when you do have it, all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, now all the things that could go wrong, whether it's the market crashing or whether it's some crypto thing or whatever. You make the mind makes shit up, and I know it's perverse because a lot of people don't have the good fortune that we have. But I'm just saying, anybody who's thinking about like one day when I have this amount of money, everything's going to be great and I'll be better off and happier. Well, you might be better off, but you might not be happier.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that's legit.
I think you are happier.
We talked about early on too. I remember this was like back in the Coogies days, like before we were even meeting up at like Soho House or something. This is like real early on, and where we were having our like lunch meetings running Primal Kitchen. And I remember saying like, if you lost everything, Mark has had you've been an entrepreneur for a while. We were just laughing last night. He was like, guess how much money I've lost in the restaurants, the total so far. And it's in the millions. I mean, this is not just this like Prince Charming story of like, oh, I just launched this company and 3 years later we sold it for $200 million. I mean, Mark's almost 70. He worked his ass off to build this huge following and start a movement before he then finally landed on one product. You still have areas of the business that, I would say aren't as successful as you want them to be. And you certainly have had your share of failures over the years. So I just want to acknowledge that. So people listening aren't like, God, Mark's so annoying. But I think, like we talked about back to where I was earlier, I remember asking you like, okay, so say it all went away.
Yeah.
And we had this conversation well, then what?
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty comfortable with the fact that, my life now, I have a beautiful wife who loves me and I love her. I have great children. They're set and they're on their way to becoming successful. Great grandchildren. And so much of what I do in the day is put on raggedy old shorts, make a cup of coffee, go for a workout.
Do the crossword.
Do the crosswords. So all the stuff I do that gives me joy and pleasure, I'd still have, right? And it's just the shit, the crap, the trappings, the junk, the accumulations that would be missing. And, some of it would be tough to let go of, but at the end of the day, I think that somebody who makes, $5 million a year doesn't enjoy a hike more than somebody who makes $50,000 a year if they're going on the same hike.
Yeah.
So the beauty of being outside and nature and being in the moment and having fun with friends and, some of my best social times ever were when I had zero money and hanging out with 5 friends, passing a bottle of Blue Nun wine around, or a joint back in my 20s and listening to music. It was so it's, there's you always got to come back to what really gives you joy and what makes you happy is the thing that money can't buy. You have to find it yourself.
Yeah. I love that. That's great. Okay. Are you really going to have a hip replacement? I want to hear about this. You got to tell the listeners this. Mark made a joke last night we had a company party and he's like, yeah, I want to get my hip replacement. I'm like, what are you talking about? Thought he was kidding. And then he's like, oh no, seriously, I think I might have to. Are you really going to have to? What's the deal?
Well, at some point I will, but no, I was on a long workout about 3 months ago and I was running down a hill in my new shoes, just enjoying the hell out of the run. Feeling really like light on my feet, and then somebody was coming up the trail the other side, and I got sort of pushed over to the side, and then the ground gave way underneath me, and I literally thudded down on that on my left leg, and it bothered me for the next couple of months, and I'm like, this should go away. This is something that it's normally an injury that would pass. So I went and got, and by the way, in advance of going to Costa Rica, I was going to get an injection of stem cells in my hip if that was the issue. So they said, get an MRI, and then we'll see if we can actually do something with it. So I get an MRI, and it comes back that I have this, severely arthritic bone-on-bone hip with, other frayed tendinosis and a bunch of other things going on around it. But largely it's bone-on-bone on the hip. And the guy, like the doctor, I'd never met him before, he read my MRI, and when I came into the room, he's like, I know what you're going to talk to me about because it's very obvious, and I started to tell him this story. So it's been going on for a long time, and I think that one event that happened when I was on the trail sort of put me into all right, that's finally bone on bone, and it's finally, there's enough inflammation there. So he said, look, perfect candidate for a hip replacement. But he's a very conservative guy. I like that. And he said the only thing better than a hip replacement is not having a hip replacement. So, okay. So, anyway, so I can ride a bike without any problems. I can stand up paddle. That's my main thing, as you know. And I can, and I can walk. This is going to be a big thing. We're going to be in Europe most of the summer, and we do a lot of hiking in Europe. So I hope I can hike in Europe. And I can't run. That's the one problem. I can't play ultimate.
I was going to say, you don't really care about running.
No, but ultimate's the one thing. Yeah. So that's the one thing that.
So you'll probably carry on until you're annoyed enough by the lack of physical activity, and then you'll be motivated to get there.
And that's what he said. He said, just keep doing what you're doing until you get pissed off enough that you can't, certain things you can't do.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I've been injured much of my life, right? I tore my hamstring off the bone, tore my lat, tore my quadriceps tendon.
You had an Achilles thing when I met you.
I had an Achilles thing. Right. So I've always, and I work around them. That's just, that was the beauty of primal living and of, cross training is to work around it. But now it's like, okay, so that's where I'm at with the hip thing.
Got it. Okay. I'm shifting gears completely too. This is just something for Carrie. So what are you eating these days?
It's so interesting. I mean, I've been very paleo keto for a very long time now. And just recently, I had my mercury tested and it was on the high side. So someone talked about the medical medium, which I don't know if it's a joke or what, but I really like what he said to do for a heavy metal detox. And this smoothie in the morning, it just seems blasphemous to me to eat so much sugar. It's 2 bananas, 2 cups of blueberries, an orange juice, and then all the other things, the spirulina and the cilantro and the green stuff.
Yeah, he's the one who popularized celery juice.
And so I get up and I start with lemon water, no coffee, no tea. And then I go on to celery juice half hour later. And then I go on to this smoothie, which lasts me past lunch. But I have to say, my gut, I've never felt better.
Interesting.
And I feel like I haven't eaten this much fruit in a decade.
But then are you going back to meat at night, or are you?
Oh, yeah. Okay. If I'm not full through lunch because that smoothie is so filling, then I will have salad with protein. And then I always, for dinner, again, I'll have salad with protein, or I'll just have a piece of salmon or piece of steak or a burger or whatever, and chicken.
But
with a vegetable.
You were vegetarian for how long?
Oh, I was vegetarian for 20 years, and then I went to pescatarian for 10. And the restaurant that we're a half a block from, I had a dream one night that I had bacon, because on the bar, instead of nuts, they have little bacon slices.
Okay.
So in my dream, I had bacon. And this was 30 years after being vegetarian. Anyway, that night, Mark orders what's that salad? Wedge salad?
Oh, yeah.
And he goes, should I get the bacon on the side? I go, nope, get the bacon on the salad. And I ate it. And somebody else ordered a Kobe beef hot dog. And I ate some of that too. And I never went back.
It's crazy.
And he used to always say, you need more protein. And I actually do feel better.
Yeah.
And I probably look my best eating paleo and keto. But I'm really enjoying all this fruit.
I've had I was vegetarian for a while, pescatarian for maybe 7 years too. And then I've settled probably more into being pregnant and stuff. I just needed a lot of iron. I had to eat red meat. I was very anemic. I couldn't get it up until I was eating the red meat. But I think sometimes the vegetarian thing is a nice, or more fruits and veggies is a nice short term or like
Yeah.
pause
Right. Yeah, this
thing,
is a
and
cleanse,
then but not like a sustaining long term thing. I'll be so curious to hear how long it sticks. My mom's like obsessed with the celery juice, so she drinks it like every day.
I will. I will continue with that.
Yeah, my boys drink it.
I mean, think about it. You want to you basically fast all night long, and then the first thing you put in your body is coffee.
Yeah,
It just doesn't, that is.
that's what Mark does.
Yeah.
That's what I've been doing.
Yeah.
No, I've been doing that my entire life.
Yeah.
But I have to say, my gut feels a lot better.
Yeah. Okay. Intermittent fasting, yes or no? This is just rapid fire questions for you guys.
Oh, 100% every day.
100%.
Okay. Carnivore diet.
Mostly carnivore for me these days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Devin is.
Devin
Yeah,
is.
our daughter, who has sort of been around the gamut with diets over the years, finally hit upon the carnivore as the way to ideally address whatever gut issues she had and skin issues she had.
Well, and she also has had some babies too. I think like you're so depleted.
Yeah. But she went carnivore because of her babies, because she was breastfeeding, and there was like eczema and certain
The gas,
things like that.
Kids are miserable.
Yeah.
Carnivore, the kids are very happy, and the kids are very carnivore.
Yeah.
Her little 1 and 3-year-old are very much on.
That's great.
Not all. I mean,
Yeah.
they eat a lot of fruits and veggies, but they love meat.
Yeah. And Kyle was vegetarian for
He's
20 years.
The only thing he's been able to add in is chicken.
okay.
So he still is a vegetarian with an occasional chicken.
But he does
is.
still.
Lots of protein powders, though, and
Yes.
Yeah.
smoothies and things like that to keep his protein up.
Okay.
But I could never give up my vegetables. I would never do that. It's always a salad or, a serving of protein with a side of grilled vegetables or something.
Okay. Botox, yes or no?
Not me. No.
Well, you never know. This is
Clearly.
LA. There's a lot of guys getting Botox in LA.
I need some. I'm
Okay.
not very regular about it, but definitely.
Okay. Favorite destination for vacation?
Well, so we have a house that we rent in the south of France every year for 2 months, and that's our favorite. We could say, well, we like the Amanpouri in Phuket, one of the greatest resorts in the world, when we've been there 5 times. But I would say that because of the lifestyle and the pace and the routine that we settle into the minute we get there, this house that we've been staying at the last couple of years and are headed off to this summer, it's just everything about it's just a beautiful change of pace that feels like home, but is wickedly luxurious and one of the most beautiful locations in the world. So that's kind of our favorite place. It's on Cap Ferrat between Nice and Monaco.
Cool. And you're like hiking a lot there?
Yeah.
I feel like you're always running into people on the hiking path. Like you ran into Lauren and Michael from the Skinny Confidential. Didn't you guys run into them? You're always telling me like,
the Cap,
or like, oh, I was on a hike and I think this guy walked by me that you know from.
Steve.
Or Steve Gundry, yeah.
Yeah.
We saw him one day, yeah. And we've seen a bunch of people over the years there because it's a great destination. So a lot of people do wind up spending some time there.
Favorite restaurant in Miami?
Wait, back to that house. I said, let's just buy a place here. We come here all the time. I love it. And he's like, no, I'm going to talk to these people. We're going to rent it every year for the next 10 years.
Oh, that's great.
And we told him that, and we love it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
At nighttime, it has a pool. So we heated the pool up to what?
91.
Is it cold at night in the south of France?
No,
or no?
it doesn't matter.
No, but at nighttime, it's not hot.
Okay.
I mean, it's nice. So every night we'd go out to dinner, have friends over, have dinner party, just stay home, whatever. We go down we take all our clothes off and go down to the pool at like 10 o'clock and just swim around and chat and talk. And
So skinny
laugh
dipping
and,
is a yes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like every
Whoever's
night,
there, we have guests, also.
Yeah. So fun.
but it was just
There's
a
no
nice
such thing.
way to end their day.
Yeah.
It was so sweet.
You guys were skinny dipping though in the Malibu house too. I feel like this is a thing.
That was his favorite part of the day.
Yeah.
Well, so
Cool hot
no, but
tub.
that's when I started cold plunging.
Yeah.
Was that I think I told you. Remember, we had a team event up there, and I made everybody do the plunge.
Yeah.
And get in the pool.
Yeah.
But we kept the pool unheated on purpose, and sometimes in the wintertime we get down to the high 40s, low 50s, right? And we had a jacuzzi right next to it. So when she said our favorite end of day activity we'd just go out under the stars in Malibu because it was quiet. There's no road noise. There's no city noise of any. You see the wildlife out behind you. Cold plunge in the pool for as long as you could stand it, and then get in the jacuzzi and warm up, and then go to bed.
I was actually, that was amazing. But I was actually referring to he on a work day. He would go out there. He'd work really hard for several hours, and then he'd go out. I'd see him outside. He'd jump in the pool and then lay naked on the daybed and just let the sun dry him off.
Yeah.
Like that was literally 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like he would just go out there and do that.
Break.
Sort of like a, I don't know,
midday.
reset?
Yeah, midday break, reset. Yeah.
And this was back in the day, like when you guys were in Malibu, when we launched a company, like everyone in the office had standing desks. Everyone was like on those like pogo stick bounce, like you sat on a pole that had basically, it was like a pole with a tennis ball on the bottom and a seat, or treadmill desks.
Treadmill desks.
Or,
we had a lot of treadmill desks.
Yeah, everyone in that Malibu Chamber of Commerce had like some crazy tricked out workstation.
Yeah.
Okay, favorite restaurant in Miami, or maybe in the world, or both?
There's so many good restaurants near us in Miami. It's really hard. So I would say there's one called ZZ, which is a really nice. You could always count on the food there.
The steak.
Steak is some of the best steak I've ever had. And again, you can count on it. But we have literally within 3 or 4 minute walk from our house, we have 20 restaurants that are great. So it's nice to have the variety, and it's also a real challenge not to go out to dinner every night. So we try to when we're in Miami for any length of time, we're like, okay, we're going to stay home for at least 4 nights this week, right? And just
do you guys actually do it?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
you do it.
He grills a steak, and then I make a salad or a vegetable, or salad and a vegetable, and then I'll grill a piece of salmon or chicken.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. You've settled in. I feel like you guys were going out a lot when you first got to Miami.
Every night, right? I didn't think we ever cooked in that first apartment.
But
we never did.
I mean, how much more are you walking now than you were when you lived in Malibu?
Oh.
Well, certainly more than Malibu, because
how about miles on the car?
Yeah. We finally got a car, after a year of living in Miami with no car and walking everywhere. And then when we finally got a car, I think we got 2,600 miles the first year, which included 2 trips across the state, right? Just not a lot of occasion to drive. So that's been good. But I would say the thing that we do when we're in Europe is we don't have a car, and we're doing a minimum 6 miles a day of walking, and sometimes 14. And much of it is just to get to a restaurant. And so if we have house guests, we'll tell them it's going to be it's a 2-mile walk to the restaurant, and then it's going to be a 2-mile walk back.
Yeah, exactly.
So bring comfy shoes, because that's part of the ritual here.
Awesome.
But
I want to go to the South. That sounds great. So do you guys? You're loving Miami? Are you loving Miami? I know Mark does. Mark, oh
my God. I would never come back to California if we didn't have kids and grandkids.
Yeah.
No, our life there is so much fun. We live in a building, and it's like living in a resort. It's on the beach. It's got a couple pools, tennis courts, gym, Pilates, yoga, a restaurant.
Yeah.
So that's in our building. We probably met at least a dozen couples that we've actually traveled to Europe with, go to St. Bart's, going to Costa Rica, like just really nice people that we've done a lot of traveling with. And they all have boats. So it's kind of the weekend comes, and it's like, whose boat do we want to go on? We get 3 invitations.
Yeah, perfect. It's much better than having your own boat.
Yeah, and the ocean is so warm.
Yeah.
Look at the ocean here. It's just, it's beautiful.
What do you always say about owning a boat? Were you just going to tell that joke?
Oh, no, I mean,
you've told me a joke about owning a boat before.
The skiing joke?
No, it's like standing in a shower.
Oh, well, that was I grew up in Maine, where sailing, having a sailboat was the big, luxury, because the people who lived in my village in Boothbay Harbor were fishermen, and they had like motor boats, and they were work boats. But the sailboats were all, people who vacationed in my town for the summer. And people used to say about sailing off the coast of Maine is, if you want to get the real experience of sailing in Maine, just stand in a cold shower and tear up $100 bills.
That's what it was. Yeah. I love it. Okay, this is my last question. What is something most people don't know about you? You both have to answer.
Oh, wow.
You go first.
No. I'm such an open book.
I mean, I get asked. I've been asked that question enough that I've said things that now they know. I would say, I was a great saxophone player in high school. Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yeah.
Wow, sweetie, help me out here. Most people don't know. I don't know. It's like I'm always trying something new, but everybody knows that about me. My latest has been trying to do the splits, and I actually did them.
That's good.
That's a good
But
one.
yeah, most people don't know I can do the splits.
That's a good one.
No, what do people not know about me?
Well, I think that's a legit one. You're just glossed right over that.
At this
I take
age.
that win, Carrie. I would take that and really dig in there. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. Are you where can people find you guys if they want to hear more? Like, Carrie, are you doing anything? Can anybody follow you on Instagram? Can we pimp your Instagram?
Sure, Carrie Lynn Sisson.
I love it. And you guys know where to find Mark.
Yeah, y'all know where to find me.
Oh, should we talk about Palooza for a second?
Yeah, let's talk about Palooza. Really quick. We're going to do a whole podcast on Palooza, so I don't want you guys to be offended that I didn't ask you. But why don't you give the audience
So my latest,
pitch.
new passion is foot health and foot comfort. And so I've, with my son, Kyle, we started this company called Palooza, and we make the quintessential minimalist shoe. It combines the best elements of, say, a 5-toed shoe and a minimalist shoe with the little bit more cushioning and great attractive uppers. So we've blended comfort, function, and style. We're only available online right now. It's www.peluva, Peluva.com. And people are raving about it. We've got 100 influencers in the fitness world that are all about it and starting to lift weights and post their, or go for long walks. Tom Hodge just did a thing today where he rucked for 13 miles in his Strands with a 40-pound backpack on.
I love it. And for people who are listening, or I don't even know if the camera can see our feet, Brian, it probably can't, but Brian was wearing his Palouvas earlier, who's filming, and Mark and Carrie both have them on right now. So check it out, Peluva.com. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.